All right, I'm here with Johnny Buck. How are we doing, Johnny?
Doing good, man. Good, doing good. Glad we got to sync our schedule up finally.
Yeah, finally. It's been difficult lately. I've really wanted to get Johnny on though. I've known and worked with Johnny for a really long time through multiple different business groups and jujitsu organizations. Um, and I mean, we've worked together on all sorts of different projects. Um, Technically speaking, we're like each other's coach because he bought a coaching program from me, and I sell very few of them. Like they're not even public, but somehow he got in that, and then like he's a coach in a program in a mastermind I'm a member of. Worked up to that actually, so just all of a sudden one day he was my coach too. So we're like each other's coach. And Johnny has a very successful gym. And while he's like me, he's in all sorts of different training programs. He has a different approach. He doesn't exactly do things exactly how any of these other people are saying. He just kind of tests things and has found something that works really well for him. And also, I like bringing people on that not only are they really business successful, but like they're teaching real stuff. Like Johnny isn't successful because he sold out and he's doing some sort of thing over there. So, um, what have I missed? What background or anything?
No, that's really about it as far as the business side. I do take a different approach to everything. So both my parents were self-employed. Um, excuse me. Self-employed meaning they own jobs. They weren't quite the entrepreneurs that I am. My mom had my dad was a general contractor. He had subs and so he didn't do a ton of work himself, so he did sub that out. My mom owned a hair salon. But neither of them were great at the entrepreneur side. My dad passed a couple years ago. My mom, she's still working. So I had a lot of that drive from them, but I also had like this crazy just thirst for knowledge and constantly trying to grow. So I and I'm so at think of it, at 13 years old, I was working for my dad's construction company, and he told me, he goes, "You are fucking unhireable." And he's actually right. I'm 38 years old. I have had my entire 38 years, I've had 5.5 months work at the Biltmore Estate, which is a restaurant, high-end restaurant, dining room. I was basically a glorified busboy. And I worked for a buddy of mine for 2 years doing HVAC because it worked for my schedule. I'm like, hey man, I have to be back in the gym every day by 5 p.m. I ended up quitting that. So I've had less than 3 years work experience outside of friends and family. And I kind of count the 2 weeks. But during that time, I found things that I did like and I didn't like, and I really implemented them into my business. My dad would give you the shirt off of his back. If you're late, if you needed money, whatever situation was, he would do everything he could to help you. And my mom's the same way, she's super hardworking. So I took what I've seen and what was effective. And even though my mom got burnt multiple times, um, by giving to people, she did it anyways. And those are kind of the systems and implement those are kind of the processes I implemented into the systems I built to help me. I've got I think 12 people on staff. Quite a few of them are full time. I could be significantly more profitable if I wanted to, but I'm focused on the impact I'm making, the long-term impact. So what I've done is take things that work in all industries and implemented them into martial arts. Um, I've got a very different business style than most, but it seems to be very effective. I hit the top 1% of the industry in 3 years. It's really tough to do that in any industry, especially martial arts. We got through COVID. We made a fuckload of money during COVID because we just did things differently. And uh, I think a lot of the problem is there's so much tradition in martial arts that honestly, I think it impedes people from growing. So what I did was look from the outside, and I'm little kids who ask why when they're like 2 or 3 years old, like I've never stopped that, and I think I'm more annoying than they are. Like when kids are like, why? I'll answer every fucking question they have, and the parents are like, would you shut up? So I've had that kind of curiosity and just open mindedness for a long time, and that's what allowed me to be so successful in business.
Yeah, I've said this for a long time that I feel like that one of the reasons, not that there aren't a lot of small businesses that are doing things very poorly, because that's the case in most industries, but in martial arts especially, I find that what's happening is a phenomenon of there's people and what they want to do is teach for a living. They don't have the entrepreneur drive, most of them. They don't want to manage a gym. They don't want to run a business. They want to teach for a living. But there are very few jobs that you can full time sustain yourself with teaching jujitsu or Muay Thai or martial, really in martial arts of any type. It's getting a little bit better. And you and I are producing said jobs. We both have said jobs at our gym, and more people are doing that. And like, according to the podcast, hopefully get more gyms to that point. But right now, so many people, they're like, they think that's what they're doing when they open. They think they're buying a mat, and now I'm like buying a job at the gym. But like, then you're like, it's not that way, because if you went in and worked for somebody that's successful, there's people there for you to teach and there's things to do. And still, you wouldn't have the same freedom. There's stuff to do, but they're they open these gyms and they're not realizing, okay, the most important things you got to do right now, you have no members, is get those systems in place. It's like, wait, I didn't sign up to make calls and do all these things. That's not what I want to do. I want to go in and teach. And that's exactly why you don't even really own a job. Many of these people own like an expensive volunteer habit,
You
because
own
most
debt.
gyms make less than zero.
Yeah, you own debt. Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. And for anybody, and I'm not trying to deter you from opening a gym, I'm more than happy to help you with that. But um, for anybody who just wants to coach, fucking go volunteer somewhere, dude. Like it's gonna give you less headache, it's gonna give you less bills, you're not gonna get divorced over money. Like it's one of those things that it has to be an absolute passion. And I've always wanted to coach my entire life. I wrestled middle school through college. I wrestled D1 at the Citadel, where I got a biology education degree. My intent was to go back to my high school and coach wrestling and teach science. And in the 4 years that from 4.5 or 5.5 years from the time I graduated to I went to school, North Carolina school system was straight to hell in a handbasket. I'm like, there's no fucking way I'm gonna teach in a classroom. Like, it's just not happening. So um I started coaching. I coached at another high school with one of the coaches. So I coached them for a little bit, and then work kind of got in the way. I couldn't get out there in time, plus running my gym. So, I've always wanted to be a coach, but unless you really want to spend a lot of time being broke and miserable and growing gray hairs way too soon, like this is not the line of work for you. That being said, I spent the first 4 years of my gym life with like 18 members at the most, and then and I think one of the most valuable things you can do in any aspect is hire a coach. Once I hired a coach, I went from 30 members to 60 members and 90 members in the first 3 months, and that's who the same coaching program I work for now, and it's allowed me to do things that I want to do. Like the whole point of me coaching is to give back to people, is to give them opportunities that they wouldn't have had otherwise. And just coaching doesn't do that. Like, my gym now is my first gym in 2013 was I don't know how many square feet, like 'cause I didn't care or no, but it's in the back of a fitness facility that a buddy of mine let me use for a percentage of my income. Um, or I forget exactly how that was set. Oh yeah, it was a percentage of my income. And I had no heat and no AC, and like we would get heat exhaustion in the summer, and we had a water bottle like this one, like pretty much 3/4 full that froze solid. And we came in Saturday morning and we trained. One of my guys still works for me, Mike Ellison. He was in that gym. Like there's a somebody has this picture. I'll pay to get it. There's a picture after we got done training. I'm in Valley Tudos, which are basically fucking bikini bottoms, and no rash guard because that's how we trained back then. And there's steam coming off of everything, but we have frozen water bottles. And everybody's, oh, that's great. I'm like, dude, that's not going to make you any money. And but that's where I started out. It didn't matter that I was losing money. It didn't, because that was part of it. When I went into the gym full time, like in 2017, I quit all my jobs. I was $64,000 in debt. Like my credit cards were maxed out. I took a personal loan out, that was gone. And that's what it took to get started. But if you just want to coach because you love coaching and you love jujitsu, like, dude, don't fucking do this. Don't do this. It's not the option. But if you do want to do something different, if you want to make an impact, I absolutely think this is the best way to do it.
Yeah. So I think I told you this once before in person, but super controversial opinion that the person that coach, with rare exceptions of somebody like Eddie Bravo that brings a huge personal brand that is the marketing, the coach is one of the least, brings some of the least value to the gym, even if they're a black belt, right? Even if they're incredible, that's that's the person that really deserves the least per hour. If that's all you do is coach, unfortunately, and that's what a lot of people don't get with this, and that's why if you own the business and that's all you bring, and so many, that's super controversial opinion because so many people think, and this is holding the business back. Even a lot of people that I admire a bunch, they're like, man, this guy is he's working for this other person that's bringing in all the profit. They feel like the person teaching the class is who has built the gym, and that's who should be getting most of the money because that's where all the value comes from. And it just isn't. Like, I wish it was, because I do think jujitsu is valuable. We're both BJJ black belts. That we didn't get easy, right? We both spent over a decade.
Shit. I was over a decade at purple.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know my time right now. I want to say it's 16 years for a black belt for me. It was a long time, right? You might be a little bit longer. One of the only people that were actually training and competing and doing the things that is longer than me, that I know. But yeah, so no, I think it's valuable, but it's a valuable in a sort of way that isn't going to make you any money, right?
And I think that's where, from an entrepreneurial standpoint, people don't understand it. And this is going to hurt feelings. And I hope it doesn't ruin your sales. But here's how I know that classes don't fucking matter. People teach Jeet Kune Do and karate and Krav Maga and make money. Like the quality of what you're putting out doesn't matter. Like that,
Yeah.
and that's sad.
So
It's the
I'll
truth.
counter that. I feel like on the back end, it matters some. And the reason is I've talked to many school owners, and which program has the best retention? Answer that. You know what it is.
Jiu-jitsu.
It's BJJ. BJJ
Yeah.
has better retention than anything. That said, if you don't enroll enough people, right? So on the back end, it does matter a little bit. It's a multiplier and it's valuable. But that said, that is the fulfillment of the service, and you being a good coach will help with that. You compare a bad BJ gym to a good BJ gym, they'll have better retention. However, the other pieces of it, that's why I founded Red Belt. Like the idea of optimizing that process, that's what we're kind of bridging the process, each conversion rate of the sales process, all things like that. And that's why so often, there's exceptions to this, so often these BJJ gyms are broke, and across the way, there's a really successful Taekwondo gym. And it's not because everybody likes Taekwondo better. That's not it. Not in the current age. It's because they have better business systems. But their business systems aren't that good, right? So if you learned a business, you could do better than that.
Yeah. And I'm gonna bash things because that's what I do. I don't fucking believe in belt testing fees. I just don't. Could I make a lot of money doing it? I'm sure I could. I don't know. I don't need fucking promote twice a year. But like, I don't believe in belt testing fees. I don't believe in a lot of these different bullshit fees that people charge. I absolutely can make more money, but if you want retention and you want like lifetime value, and that's where people mistake. Well, I charge $85 a month or $100 a month or $200 a month, whatever you charge. If you're teaching the jujitsu, by the way, and you're not a white belt running a gym, if you're charging less than $100 a month, you're an idiot. Like it's worth that. We can go into details why later, but this is what allows my business to be so successful. And this is something I've heard a lot lately was so this is comments from our thing. We signed a new lady up. She goes, we have one of the best orientations she's ever seen. She loves how full of energy we are and how nice we are, and as well as the other members being super helpful and positive. Like that's just she signed up on Saturday. I signed her up. I was actually there to help sign members up because we had a couple people out sick. So that was one. The other one, he goes, we have the best customer service he's ever seen anywhere. He signed up yesterday and moved back this evening for his first class. Like these are the things that we get. Another friend of mine brought his kid in. He's ex-military. He goes, man, you guys are so professional. And I think that's what people don't understand is like when you and I first started training, like it was gross. If you could find a place to train, it was fucking disgusting. It was like mats rolled up. There's probably boogers on the wall. Like, it was just a really difficult situation. I don't think people understand that. Nobody gives a shit about jujitsu. Like if you have under 50 members, people are actively looking for you. That's how you get found out. And this is how you scale from being a coach to a business. Is your people are like jujitsu near me. So if you have less than 50 members, people are actively looking for you. If you want to get above 100 members, you have to start building processes and stuff that allow you to grow. Because what happens is nobody really knows what jujitsu is, right? Over 70% of people get into jujitsu to lose weight. Fuck, BMAC did. Well, Lindsay made BMAC get into jujitsu to lose weight, but so go Lindsay. You're a terrible person. But like, that's my coach, is BMAC, and he's one of the biggest names in jiu-jitsu right now, like who's not competing. So understanding why people are there makes a big difference. And then having a nice facility, like not trying to kill each other. Like, these are really important things, which is very difficult in the beginning to do when you only have 20 members and like 10 on the mat, and you got a D1 wrestler who wants to be in the UFC, and you got a 40-year-old mom who wants to not be fat. Like it makes a big difference. So being able to have a customer experience is paramount. And I think that's been 100x since COVID. COVID is the scapegoat for bad customer experience right now. Because of COVID. No, COVID's been 2 years, bro. So I think that's where, when it comes to business, is like having a great customer experience is what keeps your members, not being a great coach.
Yeah. And one thing that a lot of people don't realize is because in the beginning, like I didn't even realize, because I didn't realize the coaching wasn't qualified at basically a karate school with an MMA program when I first went, because of course they're open, right? So there must be some sort of process that they have to be like, they have to know something to be open, right? Wrong, but that's what the customer thinks, right? So the customer, how good you are at martial arts, they can't gauge that. They can only gauge the other things, and they're going to assume, in my experience, that the things are equal. And often they're going to be right. So in other words, if they come in and one little process over the phone, it's super professional. They walk in the door, the cleaning is super professional. Like everything is super professional. Overall, that's most likely to be the most professional martial arts school with the best curriculum that's thought out, that the coach isn't just wandering around in class like, oh, what do you guys want to do today? Like, so they most likely are right. So now sometimes they're wrong. They go into the Taekwondo and Jiu-Jitsu academy that does Jiu-Jitsu. It's like, hey, Taekwondo might build discipline and whatever, but like that academy with the white belt Jiu-Jitsu coach probably isn't the best place to learn BJJ. But but you know, they probably are doing better with their BJJ program than you, because the customer can't tell the difference in that. They can tell the difference in the customer experience though.
Well,
And so
yeah.
Les, the very first things you were saying on that was about this orientation and things like you had. I'd like to talk more about that, about how you're delivering the customer experience. If this orientation isn't their intro, like what is it? Like, even if it is,
So
let's talk about that.
this
So
is like, so this is one thing that I've harped on culture for the past 5 years, like inside the gym culture, not just the members, because I can beat them into line. Um, because we all, like, if you guys have had a jiu-jitsu gym for a while, you get that one guy whose ego's huge, and you just beat the shit out of him until he either complies or leaves. But for us, the culture is so important from a leadership standpoint, is having a culture off the mats where your people are just well kept. Like, so we have a dress code. Right? So I'm gonna give you guys, and this is the culture is a presentation of onboard. This all comes down to one thing. We have a dress code. You don't look homeless. That's literally what it said in my book at one time, my onboarding. Don't look homeless. And then the next one is like, so we have to wear our gym's t-shirts or hoodies or whatever. I take care of the guys. I buy them shirts, whatever. But like it looks professional. And now we have crew shirts, so like staff shirts. Um, one of our guys that designs them all, they're super fucking cool, so people want them. Like members are trying to buy them, like $7,000. You can have one of these shirts, but so we look professional. So when you come in, and my building's not that great, honestly. The awning's torn down. I'm next to a bar. Every morning we're like spraying fucking puke out of the driveway or picking up mini bottles and stuff. So the outside is as good as it can be, but when you come in, everybody looks professional, it's clean, it's well lit, it smells good. So we do all of these things to make sure your first impression, I want to back up, your first in-person impression is top notch. When you walk in the front door, somebody is greeting you within 5 seconds. That's super important. It's very rarely are we not having somebody at the front desk. Again, we're open 8 a.m. till 9:30 p.m. Monday through Thursday. Friday we shut down in the morning for coaches and team training, but like we're fully operational at all times. So we're very professional the time you walk in and to the time you walk out. And we do the best we can with what we have. So that's super important. I train all my guys on like, how we answer the phone. It's a great day at Road Combat Club. It's Johnny. How may I help you? Right? It's a little quirky, right? But it's a, is it really a great day? Yeah, motherfucker, it's a great day. I'm not at your job. I'm here, like changing lives. That's way better than whatever you're doing. I promise. So we have the initial greeting is set up. Everything is done to build a welcoming experience. Like we've been doing this for 20 plus years. I started wrestling in 1999. Like it's been a long time. We forgot how intimidating this can be. So having an opening, warm, welcoming environment, well lit. We don't play. I play exclusively 90s rap when I'm coaching. So but that's later. That's not during our trial classes. So like the music is welcoming coming in. It's not quiet. We have something on in the background at all times. So it's a very welcoming environment because what we do is scary. Like people don't know what it is. They think we're going to UFC them when they walk in the front door. So that's a big part of it. That's one of the systems that we've built out. It is to a T. If you call my gym and someone doesn't say it's a great day at Road Combat Club and their name, I'm gonna kick them in the ass. So I think that's one of the most important things is creating an atmosphere that is inviting and welcoming. It makes a huge difference. That's why Taekwondo does so well. And these traditional martial arts, it's well lit. They're professional looking. They're all wearing the same fucking outfits. It looks like a cult, but I think that's what allows them to be more inviting. Right now, I'm gonna make fun of them. The barrier of entry is a lot lower. You get a black belt when you're 7, but it gives validation to the parents that this is a safe place, or the adults who are coming in. This is a safe place. You're not going to get beat up. So I think having that experience is absolutely one of the most important things you can do to start.
yeah, to many parents, the idea that it may not be effective, not only so they don't know whether it's effective or not, but it's
Absolutely.
not going to bother a lot of the moms that bring their kids in, right? They'll like, oh, they almost might prefer that they're not learning great martial arts because that's not why they're there anyway. Because they associate great, like, I don't want to bring them to the fighting violent place because I don't want them to be violent. This place looks tame and like, but we can do that in BJJ too, because parents also don't know. Oh, cool, they're safely rolling around on the ground. They're not hurting each other. Like we can spin that direction too. It's just a matter of what vibe does it give off. So I agree. In terms of like, so can we talk about more like their first experience? You were one of the first people. So I heard about this for forever, but you were one of the only people, the first people like that could produce an answer, including people that run these coaching programs. When I asked about like, hey, what about the first 90 experience, the first 30-day experience, meaning exactly what happens, and even like before that, like so before their membership, even like so from a lead all the way to on the phone to in on the door to first talk to class to orientation if there is one, to your first 60 90 days, whatever you want to say. Let's hear about that.
So in theory, every member, lead, prospect, and me back, everybody who becomes a member will go through these different stages. They'll go from lead. For us, lead is a name, number, and email, so we can call them, email them, get them to come in, text them, whatever. All right, then there'll be a trial or prospect trial, if you want to look at it. That's where they have a class on the roster scheduled like 5:30 at 2 on Tuesday for jiu-jitsu. So we have that scheduled. All right, then they'll become a member, then they'll become a former member. Like that is the life cycle of a member. At some point, they're going to quit, either because you shut down your gym and you sell, or because they quit and they move, or whatever the situation is. So what we do, so I said the first in-person impression earlier, and that's where people understand. Your first impression is your social media, right? Is your advertising, however they see you the very first time, and they're going to not pay attention for the first 20. People are like, well, it takes 7 times for them to see your brand to consider buying you. Well, yeah, it took 20 fucking times for them to even realize that you were a brand. So your first impression is whenever they see your logo, your branding, your content, your message, whatever. That's the first impression. So we start there. Nice, good, clean concept. People are happy and smiling. You never see blood ever. You very rarely see anybody getting hit. Even when we have fight photos, it's like a highlight shot of one of our coaches or our athletes, our members, not getting punched in the face or punching somebody else, right? Because we want that to be an opening, welcoming environment. I've got just shy of 400 members. I bet you I have less than 20 competitors. I bet you I have less than 10 who compete in Muay Thai and MMA. So our appearance, our very first impression is clean, fun, exciting, happy, stuff like that. When we do our process, we have people tell us we're annoying sometimes. I follow up like a motherfucker. We just call, we text, we email, we send value, we make sure we do everything we can to get there. I have 7 points of contact, 7 contacts before I put you in a callback later list where we call once a month or once a quarter. So we're constantly putting things out there. Hey, we're texting, we're emailing, we're sending videos. We're making sure the contact, because you put your information in, right? So we're gonna do what we can to coach you in there. So we do that. Then with our trials, so this is what's really, really good. This has actually helped us sign members. So say your appointment's tomorrow. All right, so we'll text you today. So the day before confirmation, we shoot you a text. Hey, Brian, super excited to see you tomorrow at 5:30 for your first jiu-jitsu class. And then, just whatever it is, make sure you bring water, all that stuff. The day of that morning, so say you come in tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow evening, we send a video. I'll send it. We use cell phones for our phones at the gym. We have iPhones for everything, all higher quality stuff. We send a selfie video. What we do is we go out in front of the gym. Hey, Brian, this is Johnny, Road Comic Club dude. Super excited to see you today. Just so you know where we're at. And then we give like a visual tour of like, hey, there's a landmark. Here's where you can park. If you can't park anywhere else you want to. Also, what size t-shirt do you wear? That way we have one waiting for you when you come in. Excuse me. So we are constantly contacting you, stay like reminding you that you're coming, you have an appointment, whatever situation is, and then we have a t-shirt ready for you, which a buddy of mine prints, great dude. Um, he's got better service than everybody else. That's why I use him. He's in Alabama. I'm in North Carolina. He's faster and better than anybody in my area because we want to have a valued experience. The quality's there, the communication's there. These are things that people value. I will pay more money to get them from Alabama than I will in Asheville because the service is better. And that's what you guys have to understand. People are willing to pay for service, right? So we do that. They have also onboarding. They come in, and as soon as they come in, we greet them. We walk around the front desk. We shake their hand, ask them if they need a water, right? So we give them a water if they need one, if they usually don't. Then we do a consultation where we talk about why they came in today. On the phone, when we set the appointment, we have a pretty extensive process. Why'd you call today? How long you been thinking about training? What main goals are you looking to get out of this? And we go through all these different processes and questions to find out why they want to come. As they come in, we do another consultation face to face. The reason we do it again is because they're going to open up more face to face because you've built rapport with them. You have a friendship building when you start this out. From there, we go what we do call the perfect tour. So in my gym, we have when you first walk in, there's a shitload of belts, MMA belts, Muay Thai belts, combat jiu-jitsu belts. We just like to show winning. Like people want to be around winners, man. Like the world's full of fucking losers. So if you can show winning, that's good. But we have it on there, but we don't point it out always. If somebody wants to lose weight, we show them something in our gym. I have a big wins and gratitude wall. Buy chalkboard paint the wall, get chalk markers, let your members write things they're celebrating on there. Because what that does is during a perfect tour, we can point out, oh, you can see right here that this person lost 30 pounds. I know you want to lose weight. This is basically proof showing that we can do that. Then we put them in class for a trial. With the trial we have on a trial, we put them with somebody who is similar to them, who's going to be a good experience. And then we make sure it's fun, they have a good time. We focus on the 3 S's for every class, whether it's a trial or not: the sweat, smiles, and skills. You want to be happy, you want to learn something, right? And you need to get a good workout. So we make sure that happens. As they come off the mat, we go to our closing process. We ask them, what did you think? Because that's going to help you get your goals. And then we go through our closing process. The entire time, we're making sure that it's an awesome experience. We're never pushy. We try to make it as good of an experience as possible for them because that's what allows us to do what we need to do, which is grow the gym. The more and people are like, oh, I do it for the art. You're a fucking idiot, right? I'm taking one of my guys to Scotland to compete at Worlds this year. Like he has to pay for it, but it allowed me to front him the money so we can do that. If like my roof is destroyed, we had like 200 gallons of water on the mat. Guess what? I paid to get it fixed because I have the things to do that. Everyone's like, oh, money's evil, money's evil. No, money just gives you options to help more people. If I was still in the very first shithole gym I was in, I could maybe have 20 people. I have over 400. I can make the impact of 400 lives. I'm thinking probably closer to 500 in this facility. So that's what I want to do. But that's our process. And every bit of it is curated to what they want and what they need. That's allows me to have success. We've closed 9 members this month so far. This is 6. 9 for 9. We've closed every single one of them because of the experience. And people tell us this is the best experience we've had. The video you sent me was the reason I walked into class today for my trial. These are really important things. We're making a big impact. So that's the process we've been doing for up until you get signed up. From there, we have another 30 days, which is already super curated. We're expanding that to 90 days right now. So it's your first day 0 to day you leave. We're trying to have the best experience possible. That was a lot.
Yeah. Well, that the day 0 to day 30, the day 0 to day 90 is really important because that is the period that they're more likely to quit given per day, right? That's the most likely, most vulnerable times, right? Because all this change and stuff is happening. However, most people quit in day -1, day negative, like beforehand. And the old Scott school idea was, well, if they really wanted it, they're going to do it. Like if they really want it, they're going to do it. If they don't want it, they're not going to do it. And that is um, a mindset of coaches in high schools and stuff, but it isn't a mindset of business owners. And it's wrong because there's so many people. I can think of multiple members in my school right now that are like, they needed multiple follow-ups. They need like 5 or 6 follow-ups. They like needed encouragement. We had to like walk out in the parking lot. They were shy to go in or whatever, and then have been members for years, right? And that are like, so you're thinking, oh, these people that need all this, they're not serious and they won't be, they're just going to leave in a month anyway. But that's not true. So
I think that's the opposite. The harder it is for them to walk in the first day, the longer they're going to stay as long as they walk in. I think that is one of the most misunderstood things. Like everybody wants to jerk off to David Goggins, go hard and do all this shit, but realistically, that's not the vast majority of people. I'm not a David Goggins fan. Everybody really, I mean, no, because he's an idiot. You give him 100 random people, me 100 random people, I guarantee you I have more people being more successful at the end of it because I'm not going to beat them over the head with a fucking boat paddle. I'm going to help get them leveled up because that's the thing that most people don't understand. Like this is hard. This is difficult. It's scary as shit for most people. And if we don't have an on-ramping process where they're comfortable to come in, then we don't know what's going to be. And just think about how different, like you and I personally, how different things would have been had BMAC not gotten to jiu-jitsu. Like, I wouldn't be doing this shit. You know, it's having an on-ramping for everyone is a big deal. I don't remember his name, Kurt something. He got all the messed up fingers, and he goes, "Jiu-jitsu is not for everyone."
yeah, I
Yeah,
don't like that guy because of that. And people
I like
ask me
I like
why, because he's like, oh, these guys, and he basically made fun of the type of person I was. And it's like, hey, and in response to that, you know, the quote that I'm talking about, like one time they're like, he's like, hey, these guys, they're unathletic, whatever, they shouldn't do jujitsu, essentially. Um, and I'm like, but that's who can get the most value from this, because I've trained fighters. We've put one person in the UFC from our gym, right? But most people, most of these fighters, like, okay, so that person got a career. Most of these fighters, they get a temporary little thing. Like you can do a lot more for the other person that needed that, like the opposite. You can do way more for them. So when you only care about the other person, you care about, like, you want to glorify Elio in jiu-jitsu, or the small guy, but you're like, you wouldn't want Elio if he came into your gym, bro. So I don't.
I've got. I was also looking for earlier. I've got a lockbox in here with handwritten notes. I have screenshots in my phone of I would not be alive if it wasn't for the gym. Like I've got a bunch of them, and some of those stop it. Some of those people are still members. I wouldn't have got through COVID or without this. I wouldn't have got through my divorce without this. I wouldn't have got through whatever situation is without the gym. And like, if you do want to produce UFC fighters and champions and shit, like that's your only fucking goal, get a garage. Like, realistically, get a garage. Like, find
Or
a
go
buddy of
work for
yours.
somebody else. Go work, get qualified to do that, right? And
I don't even
then
think
get
that'll
somebody
work.
hire you, right? So you don't need business skills. You need coaching skills, and then go work for one of these top gyms, because they do hire.
Yeah, enjoy your $12 an hour. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think that's a big thing. Like we have, so I've got a couple world titles. We have 2 world titles in Muay Thai. We're going to Scotland for another world title in Muay Thai and MMA. Like, or all amateur stuff with those guys. But I'm like, you can produce high level athletes in mom and pop gyms, like with members. So I think that's understanding what you're doing and having that process, because like there are certain guys that just wouldn't be where they're at if they came in, you beat the fuck out of them the first day. Fuck this, I'm not coming. Like that's a part of it. And that, dude, I'm not saying and this is not like me bashing coaches who think that way. That's how I was. Like, if it didn't work, go harder. If the hammer didn't work, get a bigger fucking hammer. And that's why I had 18 members for fucking 4 years, at the high end, 18 members. So I think it's really important that people understand from a business standpoint, like, if you want to have a successful gym, you need to make sure that you're not trying to get the 1/10 to 1% in there. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But
And
you can
for people
produce
that don't
more.
know, that this is Johnny. He has a catch wrestling background. He's like, if you can't tell from the picture, he's not like soft little
No,
precious Johnny, right?
no.
So,
I try to
and this
kill
is
somebody that
coming
breaks the
from
law.
him, right? This is coming from Johnny, that he's all about going hard. He's all about competing and all the things. He's taken pro MMA fights. He's got a IBJJF brown belt world title, if you care about those. Uh, me neither, but he's got one, just, to use as a coaster or whatever at home.
I did it just to prove I could.
Yeah. So, but and he's saying that, this is still the way, and I 100% agree
And like,
also.
this doesn't mean you have to fucking play patty cake either. So we have quite a few guys, older guys, who come in the gym and they're like, and a buddy of mine told me this. He goes, you want some unsolicited advice? I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll take it. I'm not gonna do anything with it, but he goes, a couple of guys that train at my gym now where he trains, is because you guys train too hard. I'm like, the fuck we do. Like, we do train hard. Like, it's not that's not saying we just flow. So put it away. One of my buddies, German Mike, one of my members, he went to another gym and he took a class and shit. Like, you guys want to roll? He goes, no, we don't roll. What the fuck do you mean you don't roll? He goes, no, we just do situational stuff. I'm like, that's the opposite. That's how you're gonna roll in jiu-jitsu, by the way. Shit like that. But like, we do train hard, but we're not trying to kill each other. We're trying to push each other. We're trying to get outside of our comfort zone, but we're also not throwing the 45-year-old mom who wants to lose 30 pounds into the fucking meat grinder day one either. And I think in the beginning, that's what's really difficult, is having a all levels class, which is legitimately all levels, is having your guy who wants to be in the UFC on the mat with your mom who wants to just lose some baby weight and being able to produce a high level thing. You're going to have to really keep an eye on how you operate your classes and your curriculum and your situational sparring, your movement, with two things. One, the right culture and leadership, which is really fucking difficult. And two, making sure everybody understands that people have different paths. And if you do that, that will allow you to grow your gym to where you can have more people to do more things. That way, if you only have 10 members, like, it's going to be tough to make a UFC champ. It's going to be tough to make an IBJJF world champ, right? Everybody's like, well, Pedigo did it. Yeah, Pedigo's a fucking genius in a low income town where people do anything they can to get out. I love those guys. I fucking train with them every time I get a chance. He goes, but he's an anomaly. So, if you want to grow a successful gym, whether you want to have world champions or just change lives, which I think both are completely doable, obviously, I'm doing it. If you're going to do that, then you have to understand how to grow a business. And it's going to start out with not having boogers on the wall when you come in. Like, that's going to be step one.
So, you talked about leadership and things like that, and obviously, if you have a 400-person gym, you probably have staff, right? So you probably have employees. We both have those. So, begs the question of, because you have your employees, and I know everybody has issues, but in general, you have people on the same mission. And in terms of sales, in terms of culture, and all the things you were saying earlier, that you're like, okay, we made our guys made over 100 calls to set 1,000 calls to set appointments last month, right? I read that you were saying that. So so that's one of the steps that you identified that needed to be made, calling the leads, that you needed that many calls. So how do you get people on board for like the sales things, the culture things? How do you get and keep everybody accountable and on board for all that stuff?
So that's the toughest part. So here's where, and this is what I'm spending a lot of time on. I've got coaches in other industries and shit that I work with. I spent the last year really focused on becoming the leader I need to be, becoming the person I need to be to lead the business I want. And what I've, and this is something my wife and I, my wife Jen, she works for me. We started dating in 2018 when we were actually in New Orleans. That was our first trip together. And I've been focused relentlessly on building a culture since then. And I think that's where people mess up. So if you're going to really do anything, and this is going to be a higher level thing, but I think it's important, is understanding your culture, your mission, your vision, and your core values are paramount. We actually just modified our core values last year to because we outgrew the ones before that. So core values are the guiding principles that you use to make every decision that you make. If it's either A or B, A aligns with the core values and B does not, it has to be A, even if creates more initial value. So let's say I call it shiny symptom syndrome or shiny thing syndrome. It's where you see something that could make you some money really quick. So you jump on that, you get real excited, and it derails your main thing. Um, We've had a fitness kickboxing program off and on over the years. It's never worked out because it wasn't what we were doing at the time, and it just didn't make sense, but it did make us some money. So I'm like, oh, we're gonna do that, we're gonna do that. And what I found was every time we've done something that's taken it away from the core value, it's actually slowed down our process of getting to our vision. And my vision changed a good bit. Our purpose has not changed. It has been the same thing the entire time. Our mission, our purpose is to empower, inspire, and show others how those willing to do the work can achieve more than imagine possible by being the example on and off the mats. And that's what our guys live by. It's been challenging. I coach them. Like nobody lives up to that all the time. Like there's like, dude, I'll absolutely blow shit off to go play Xbox sometimes. So I'm not perfect, but I love my dude. Make sure you do this first, dude. Make sure you do this first. Make sure we're doing anything. So having what your core beliefs, your core values, your mission written out and clear, that's how it has to be done. And everything has to be done by your core values. And if you don't have core values, you're just fucking rowing your boat, whichever direction it matters. Having core values will attract the right employees and get them to make the right decisions as long as they know what they are. And I think that's where most businesses fuck up. They focus on the wrong things.
So you knew your mission, and that's um sounds good and all, but what I'm on board, right? And this is something that I could use some an improvement in my gym with right now. But it just seems like to many people, to me at one point, I'm no longer at that stage, and to all my employees and to most people is like the core values. Almost all these big companies have, like, they have their mission statement, they have their core values, it's on the wall. How many of them have a culture of employees believing it is an entirely different thing, but it just usually they come off as a bunch of garbage words on the wall, just like love, laugh, live, or whatever the heck is sitting on the wall, and it's just on there and it doesn't really mean anything, and all of them look fluffy and good, but like, you know it's not gonna, like, oh, the idea that you can achieve whatever you want by working hard and whatever. Okay, I'm an employee here, I'm not working any harder, I see that on the thing, but like, okay, I've made some calls today, I've done what, like, but he's got the thing on the wall. Of course, he wants me to work harder. Every job I've ever been with wanted me to work harder. He's brought this thing on the wall. What does it matter, right?
Well, I think where that makes a big difference is by being the example. And that's something that when I've put that in, I've always had this thought, but when I put it on paper, I'm like, by being the example, it's really hard for you to convince one of your employees. We're just use a regular big company, not a gym. If you're like, oh, work harder, do this, do that, and every Thursday you're out playing golf at fucking 11 a.m. getting drunk, like they're like, fuck that guy. He's not doing the example. He's not working hard. I think where most culture falls apart is it's not actually embedded into the culture. Where most mission, vision, core values is it's not actually embedded into the culture. Dude, do not fuck up at my gym. My guys, the rest of the team will jump your shit, not in a malicious way, but they'll call you out. And that takes time. The if you're gonna read a book about culture, Seeds of Culture, I just finished it, is probably one of the best books I've read on it. And it talks about culture, commitment, community, and climate, right? So it's based on, so your culture is how you do things around here. This is how we do things. We do them right. We do them right. We strive for a world-class experience in everything we do. Commitment is your guys' willingness to do the work, right? Climate is how they feel about the culture. And then community is how they feel about each other. So these are things that happen. And what I've noticed, and it's like, listen, you're not going to read the book and then fucking implement it. It doesn't work that way. There's no fucking easy button for culture. This has been a 5-year process. And a lot of times you're not going to realize that nowadays weeds, there's weeds in there. There's weeds that are stealing from your crop. His family's a farmer, so that's a lot of references. And they look green, and even some weeds produce flowers because they're high producers or whatever. But if you don't get those weeds out, the problems out, your culture will never fucking thrive. And it's fucking difficult. It's firing the guy that you need to fire when you need to fire. It's having the psychological safety to where your guys can come to you and say, hey man, I don't like this. Or hey, this guy's fucking up. I know he's our number one sales guy, but he's not doing what he's supposed to. He's being sketchy. He's not doing the right thing. It's a fucking difficult thing. And I think where most people fuck up, especially big corporations, they have to appease their shareholders. Versus me, I have to appease the culture, the core values, and the members. Like outcome, I am a outcome based company. I want a specific outcome, and we're gonna do everything we can to do it. I could be way more profitable. Like this year was a rebuilding year. We're about 17% profit, which is not where I want to be by any means, but it was what it was. So our goal is to impact lives. And if you can make that and you can live it and just don't, it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen overnight. But if you want to build a culture, that's what it's going to take, is having a clear, from a leadership standpoint, you have to be very clear about what the vision is. Your vision has to be so fucking big, it encompasses anything they ever want to accomplish, and you have to live it. I think that's where most people fuck up. And I think that's the biggest reason why my gym is so successful, is because I live that day in and day out to the best of my ability.
So when you go with setting the example, that so clearly there's big corporations where the CEO can't be present all the time, and like as you grow, and I'm in the position that I have a company based. I have two companies, a martial arts school and a software company for martial arts schools, and they're on opposite sides of the world based. And so I didn't do the type of martial arts that covers the teleporting and stuff. So I can only be at one of them at a time. And it definitely has made an impact. So I hadn't been over here with this one. I'm here. Things are doing a lot better. Right. And so how do you set the example everywhere when you're not there? Like I can be on a call, but like you can't see me do the stuff. Like you abstractly know that I'm probably doing some stuff, but you don't get to see. So is it still possible?
Yeah, for sure. Layla Hormozy talks about this a lot with remote. And she's like, she has a dress code for her remote employees. Even when at COVID, you had to get dressed professionally every day to be on the calls. You had to have your cameras on the Zoom calls. You had to be like, there are certain stipulations where you can hold them accountable. But like, I think one of the big things about is just fucking caring. Like, is like Jenny, like, you know, you're in a chat with the VA and I generally care about her. Like, she, hey, I have a headache, dude. Don't worry about it. Like, you not putting that fucking post up today is not going to be the end of my life. but I want you to take care of yourself. So being a real fucking person and generally caring about them makes a big difference. And we've talked about it quite a bit about, how to treat people. Um, like treat them like you'd want to be treated. Treat them better than that. I think that's one thing. It's not as easy remote, but like setting up Zoom calls to just have a conversation. So one thing I do right now, uh, is I every Friday I have a 30-minute block where I sit down with my employees, one or two at a time, or not one or two a day, and we just connect. I don't care about work. I don't care about anything. We just talk because I want to know who they are. I want to know what their issues are. I want to know how we can help. Because if I can help them, then they can do better job for their gym. They can help more members. So I think it's not as easy for sure, but it is definitely possible.
Yeah, so there's pieces of that I feel like I'm doing well at. What I've been thinking about recently, unrelated to this, is I've been thinking like, okay, so when I return and I'm in the gym more, like, should I try and because I have a setup in my house that's no longer at the gym. It was at the gym for 8 years. So where I do work, should I go in and bring that? It wouldn't be necessarily a lot of the day work for gym stuff. It would be red belt software work or different things. Should I just bring that inside the gym so I could be in the vicinity working, even though it's completely unrelated tasks? Is that worth anything?
No, I don't think that does. I think what you should do is schedule a couple hours a week to be in your gym doing nothing. So, what this is something I learned, and my wife as well, is when we're in the gym, our employees are going to bother us, right? And I put air quotes on bother because like they're going to interrupt what we're doing because they need feedback, they want feedback, whatever situation is, or they just want to fucking talk, dude. They're working for you for a reason. Like every one of my employees who can make way more money working somewhere else. But they want to be around you. So just like giving them that time, uh, once a month we do all staff meetings. So anybody that works for us, you come in. We usually have food for you. We celebrate your birthdays. We celebrate your 1 year anniversary, 2 year anniversary working for the gym. We make a big deal of that because it is a big fucking deal. Like, and it's not like, oh, happy birthday. Like, no, we, whatever. And my wife likes to cook. So whatever dessert you want, whatever meal you want, we make that on your birthday. We have a legit community. So I think just if you can actually just be present with them for 2, 3 hours a week, um, like off the mat, that'd be great. Dude, I'll tell you one thing the guys love is why I come in and I watch them coach. They get nervous. Or I coach for them. Hey man, take class. I got you. Um, they thought that in the beginning they thought it was because they sucked. It's just no man, I just want to fucking let you enjoy a class. You don't get to do that very often. But yeah, stuff like that, giving them that. And then the other thing I think is super important is understanding what they want. So work appreciation, love languages. That's big. Physical touch, can't really do that at work, apparently. But like acts of service, quality time, stuff like that, it makes a big gifts makes a big difference. If you're buying somebody who doesn't give a fuck about gifts, then you're just wasting time and energy. You can just go spend time with them. So understand what they want is really big. I said this has been a fucking 5 year ongoing process. Um, there's not an easy answer. But when it comes to building culture, I think I'm one of the best in the fucking industry about it.
We've definitely progressed a lot. It's so your coaches and a lot of your employees, they're hired internally, right? You
I have
hired
one
any
I
external?
have one unicorn, yes. Nina. She's our newest employee. Um, she's currently my favorite because she's a massage therapist too. So but yeah, she we use LinkedIn. Oh no, Indeed. We use Indeed. Indeed's a shit show. Um, because of how I operate, it's a slower process. But I've hired everyone except her internal. And dude, she bought into the culture so quickly that it was easy for him. And my process is this: we have day 0 to 90. We have a 30, 60, 90 training process. By day 30, you should be capable of doing this. By day 60, this, by day 90, this. And at day 90, one of two things happens. You get fired or you get a raise. Um, I don't pay you, I pay based on the work you've done, not the work you're doing. So, and it does limit some of the candidates I get sometimes. But if your number one motivator is money, you're not in the right fucking place. Like we don't want you. We want you to make an impact. We talk about core values, what's important to you, what do you value, something like that. But we have a very not strict, but we have a very good onboarding program for our employees. We ask for feedback. Like, all right, what can we have done better? What helped you? What did you not like? And so we have a first 30, 60, 90 training program, but she's been a unicorn, dude. She's 20 years old. She works multiple jobs to stay up top. She's got a good head on her shoulders. We've got some real good people, but yeah, she's the only one we've had. And we don't plan on her being there long term. We knew that going in, but she's been really fucking good, dude. But yeah, it's almost all internal because they understand the culture.
Yeah, that has been, I've tried external many, many times, and I've been better off hiring internal people that don't even fit the job, right? So that they're like the so you compare an external person with tons of sales experience that's on paper is going to be great, and then versus internal person with that is like the opposite personality, like the opposite everything. And long term, I'm leaning towards that's better because um it's just like you can give the salespeople all the incentive in the world, but like it's an old engineering saying is like you improve what you measure. So okay, then he will maybe sell more things, but always something weird said to people, or always something weird in the contract, and um where you get somebody that actually cares about what's going on, and then yeah, they care about making the sales too. That's part of their job, but then it's it comes off very genuine, and then afterwards they still care about this person. And it's
Well, yeah, we missed
I
we
really
missed a
like.
sale. We missed a sale the other day. Um, it'd have been good for the gym, but like the guys like that worked for me, he's like he was generally upset he didn't get the sale. I'm like, well, dude, it's honestly it's out of their budget. Like that's nothing we can do about that. Like we can't minimize what we the other members are paying because they can't afford it. So like they generally care, and he's trying to rack his brain how we can make it work. Versus the salesman who doesn't understand the value of what we do, it's just not the same. But yeah, it's a weird world, man. It's a very weird industry. I think far as how if anybody gets anything out of this podcast is like, I think the two things they should get out of this is one, build your culture, establish your culture, get it in writing, and live and die by that. And the other part is make sure the onboarding experience is like, dude, try and be Chick-fil-A. Do not try and be fucking McDonald's. Um, that's why I tell my guys, we do not compete with the dojo down the street. We're competing with First Form, we're competing with Chick-fil-A, we're competing with these top tier companies whose customer experience is top notch. Because that's how we're gonna be like, dude, fuck it. I'll absolutely pay this much money. So those are the big takeaways I think anybody should get out of this. But you got anything else?
I think that's a good general takeaway from this. We were a little bit all over the place, but I
Yeah,
like it. That's kind of been the theme. So
that's my
we
brain.
yeah, yeah. I haven't really talked culture much on these so far, and I think it's one of the, if you, like you were saying, if you want to build a really successful gym or business, really, really successful, and not just a little bit, I mean, that's going to be the thing. If your culture is garbage, whether garbage among your members or garbage among your staff, then you can make some money, because I've been to some gyms that make a little bit of money with a garbage culture.
Yep.
But then later, you
It
turn
doesn't
around
last.
and it's having problems.
Yep. I think that's a big one. So here's how important I think culture is. I'll wrap up with this. I'm starting another business with a buddy of mine. The first thing we're working on is core values. It's a number before anything else starts. Not hiring, not fucking budget, core values. First thing we're working on. So If you wonder how important it is, it's that important.
Do you, so you think if you make a new, you're still you, but if you make a new company, your core values should be different?
They'll be slightly different because it's a completely different industry. The core values will be the same, right? So like we're gonna operate the help first mentality. We're gonna go the extra mile, but there's gonna be some tweaking a little bit. Um, let me back up. The words will be different. The values won't be. It's to make sure it's conveyed to the appropriate audience.
Okay. Awesome, man.
So
So if
I've not
people
figured it
saw
out
this,
yet, but
what?
I've not figured it out yet exactly. So I'll let you know on the next one. But yeah, we're focused on core values right now. Because here's where it's gonna be different. And this is the only thing is there's a partner, right? So
Mm.
we have to agree on what's important. And luckily him and I mesh pretty well, so it shouldn't be too hard. But just wordsmithing them is gonna be a little bit different. But
Okay, awesome, man. So if people want to follow you, see more things like that, what should they do?
just Instagram is probably the easiest. Johnny Buck, the number 2, or find me on Facebook. Or IHateJohnnyBuck.com. I still have that up and running. That'll be changed over here shortly. But yep, that's it.
All right, awesome. Thanks so much, man.
Yeah. Later.